Most people dislike making small talk, but it's what's needed in order to propel a conversation, make a connection, and help pass the time. But not knowing what to say left this next mom feeling her loneliest.
The time that I felt the loneliest, the Sunday, it was in September 2017, and Jacob had this really, really long practice. I think it was 4 or 5 hours. Okay, are you gonna go really fast today? Yeah. There was a couple of family or parents that stayed as well, and I don't know, they just had so much to talk about, and I kept on paying attention and noticing and thinking, why don't they come and talk to me, or why don't they bring me in? I mean, I don't know, at some point it kind of hit me, like, I can't be alone anymore. I'm sitting here by myself. I have nobody to talk to. I have nobody left to text message. And then I packed up my stuff and I went outside, and I probably had a good cry. I had a good cry. But that moment where I was just by myself for hours, and I just wished that somebody would notice me and somebody would just come and talk to me. I think when I feel the most lonely is when I'm either around a lot of people who I find I would see them as socially stronger than I am, or I always look at people and wonder, like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? Why don't I have anything to say? So just now I was sitting beside a mom, and she smiled at me a couple of times, and I did not, nothing, there was nothing. So I mean, yeah, I have that. You smiled. That was nice. I have this fear of missing out, but don't make me go, but please invite me, but, you know, take pictures, but don't post too many, but, you know, like, you don't win. It's like, I really, really want to be there, and I want to be part of it. I want to be there because I want the social interaction, and I want the deep relationship. I want it so bad. So I mean, it's kind of like this little thing in the back of my head just reminding me, like, don't forget, you're still by yourself.
Very interesting story, and I think that there will be viewers that can see themselves in Lori. You're in that situation, you don't know what to say, you see everyone having these conversations.
But you want to.
But you want to be a part of it, and you don't know how to do it.
Yes.
So you have some very, Karyn, practical tips for how you might get in there.
Yes.
This is sort of a social anxiety situation.
For sure, and I think all of us have probably kind of wanted to learn at some point. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I started studying people that could actually do this well. And kind of like, what is it? And I kind of like, because I love to kind of take a lot of data and kind of simplify it. So 3 things. Are you ready? Okay. First thing, and this is just ways to have kind of like start the conversations in terms of meaningful conversation. First of all, comment on something that is actually pop culture. Okay, pop culture is amazing. So, for example, did you watch the NBA Finals? Okay, all of a sudden, you can be, in her kind of case, she's like in something, it's like hockey, it's like, did you watch the finals? Boom, all of a sudden, you've got something, okay? Yes. So you start with something that's pop culture. Pop culture is a way for us to unify and kind of connect. Okay, number 2 is that, okay, so you start with that, kind of something that's kind of pop culture. Number 2, share something personal about that. All right, so I could say I was never really into basketball until my husband got me into basketball, and then I really got into basketball, and my kids love it. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing something a little bit more personal. Now I'm kind of making that connection. And then a third thing you can do is actually say something funny. Funny is a really good way of actually connecting.
It's great, but it's harder.
It's a little harder.
It's probably the hardest, especially if you're not like a naturally funny person.
Right, yeah, so don't do like a joke when I'm talking about, don't do jokes, don't do jokes. No, but knock, who's there? Yeah, do not do that. No, what I'm talking about is, did you see the guy, if you're watching the finals, did you see the guy that was like climbing the pole, and then all of a sudden like the pole kind of collapsed? Did you see that? Like all of a sudden, and that's where I think pop culture, it can be a way for us to use it to connect. Right. I mean, I think that's kind of part of with anything around technology. Let's use it to connect, but let's not rely on it for the connection.
I love your examples. And the other thing you can do is that people like talking about themselves. Maybe ask them questions.
Maybe a little bit too much.
Maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But if you maybe asking people questions, you know, how long have your kids been playing hockey for? Also, I'm going to say one last thing. The conversations that are being had that you think are so great are not. they're not that exciting.
Right.
And I know that sometimes when you're on the outside looking in, it feels like everyone is living this fantastic life and having these great conversations. It's not that difficult if you jump in there, because nobody's having these electrifying conversations and leaving you out.
Yes.
They're just passing the time.
They're passing the time, and I think just learning how to kind of get an entry in.
That's it.
And I think for, you know, like the woman was sharing, like just the fact of like, what do I say? Start with pop culture.
Yes.
Whether it's music, it's school, it's your kids, it's the NBA finals, it's like anything, but it's something that we're also, you have some kind of a connection. That's a good kind of entry level
Really
into the
good advice
conversation.
there.
Yeah.